Hi, this is Adam and welcome to this lecture on understanding the Swedish pitch accent. First of all, what is a pitch accent? Well, to put it very briefly, pitch accent is a feature of certain languages where there are distinct tonal patterns that appear in different words, giving them different meanings. It's similar to the more familiar concept of tone found in, for example, Chinese, but it's not exactly the same thing. Besides Swedish, some well-known languages with pitch accent include Norwegian, Lithuanian, Serbian, Japanese, and ancient Greek. So, let's talk about the Swedish pitch accent. In Swedish, there are two types of accents. The first one is called accent 1, or acute accent. The second one is called accent 2, or grave accent. Every Swedish word has one of these two accents, and like I said, the meaning of a word can change depending on what accent it has. For example, anden, the duck, versus anden, the spirit. Did you hear the difference? If you didn't, don't worry about it. That's the reason we're here. Understanding the pitch accent and pronouncing it correctly is critical to a native-like pronunciation of Swedish. Swedes immediately hear if the accent of a word is off, and it's a very effective way of hearing if someone does not speak Swedish as their native language. On the other hand, if you do get it right, then you will sound really proficient in the language, and all Swedes will point out how well you speak the language, even if they don't realize exactly why they think so. Well, unless you live in Finland, of course. In Finland Swedish, there is no pitch accent, but then you wouldn't know if we were talking about a duck or a spirit, now would you? Now, the actual sound of the two accent types vary between the different regions of Sweden. In this video, I will use the East Central Swedish pronunciation, which is the one used in the region of Stockholm-Uppsala, and leave the other regional pronunciations to another video. I will write accent 1 with an acute accent, and accent 2 with a tilde. Usually a grave accent is used for accent 2, but I believe the tilde will be more pedagogical, and I think you'll see why soon enough. Okay, let's get technical. What is the difference between the two accents? Accent 1 is the normal accent, so to speak. In words with this accent, the pitch on the stressed syllable goes up and then down again in the unstressed syllable that follows. Even more technically, it looks like this. Let's listen to some words with accent 1. Anden, kommer, England, öken, saken, ordet, bina, dagis. This actually functions more or less like stress in general in any language. If you pronounce an accent 1 word with the same type of intonation as you would in English, you're going to hit the mark fairly well. For example, English baron versus Swedish barren. See? It's the same type of intonation. Remembering this, you'll find that accent 1 is actually pretty easy to master because it's so similar in structure to what you'll find in other languages. This is also the reason why Swedish loanwords generally have accent 1. Alright, for accent 2, this is when it's getting weird. But weird does not equal hard, so bear with me here. Accent 2 is characterized by a double peak in pitch. What I mean is that the pitch rises in the stressed syllable, which is similar to, but quicker than in accent 1, and then it also rises again in the following unstressed syllable. Here's the more technical depiction of this. And now let's listen to some words with accent 2. Anden, komma, kvinnor, pojke, katter, visste, slutat, rolig. To put it in simpler terms, accent 1 words sound like normal words, and accent 2 words sound as if they stress the second syllable once more. Let's try some pairs to see if you can hear the difference. Feel free to repeat after me to practice. Anden, anden, buren, buren, Polen, Polen, tomten, tomten, gifter, gifter, juden, juden. Do you see what I mean? Practice pronouncing the accents and try to find a way to get them right. Whatever way is fine as long as it works for you. It doesn't have to be perfect or technically correct. If it helps you, then do it. Everything to make it simple, and everything to actually try to get the accents into the words at all. As I've said, if you want to sound like a native speaker, then you absolutely have to get the accents right. It's just such an integral part of the pronunciation of the language. Now, we know the accent is super important, and we know that unless we get it right, we'll always sound like a foreigner. So, on to the million-dollar question. How do we tell what accent goes with what word? And before giving you the list, please keep in mind that there are few rules without exceptions. Accent 1 is found in words with one syllable, such as hund, katt, fot. This is particularly important when we add the definite article because they will keep the same accent. Hunden, katten, foten. Then we have adjectives ending in isk, such as magisk, grekisk, hatisk, fantastisk. Then words with two syllables where the second syllable is unique and not a traditional Swedish word ending. Hummus, polio, pajas, godis. And words with more than one syllable where the stress is not on the first syllable. Telefon, servera, betala, egentligen. An exception here is nouns with stress on the second to last syllable. Väninna, kopia. Accent 2 is found in words with more than one syllable where the stress is on the first syllable and the ending is a recognizable traditional ending. Pojke, hoppa, kvinnor, rolig, 15, flugit. Also in compound words. Lastbil, sjukhus, örngott, brandman. Problematic words are those ending in L, N, and R. Nouns can have either accent. Cykel, fågel, vinter versus spindel, nyckel, syster. Adjectives in L and R have accent 1, but those in N have accent 2. Enkel, simpel, vacker versus egen, ledsen, öppen. Present tense verbs in R always have accent 1. Springer, kommer, leker, byter. Compare with hoppar, kallar. Same thing with plural forms with vowel mutation. Änder, bönder, stänger, fötter. Compare with katter, filmer. All of this means that depending on the forms of a word, the accent might change within a single paradigm, such as läsa, läser, läste, läst. Komma, kommer, kom, kommit. En katt, katten, katter, katterna. Okay, so now, as a final note, and just to piss you guys off after learning all this, I'll share the final touch. This final piece is that we often don't pronounce the accent. I know, right? Now, let's calm down a bit. It's really not that bad. Actually, this will help you out. The thing is that we only pronounce the pitch clearly in words that are stressed. In unstressed words, we don't really care what accent they have, because if they're not stressed, they're not important. But this is not to say that the pitch accent only appears in words that are really emphasized. No, it has to do with the prosody of the language. As the rumor has it, Swedish is a very sing-songy language, and this is partly because we pick out certain words in the sentence that we stress a bit extra, while the other words we kind of just rush through. Let me show you how this works. Jag kommer hem, meaning I'm coming home. As you just heard, this is actually pronounced Jag kommer hem. The last word has the sentence emphasis, while the two former words are unstressed and thus blend together. This is what I'm talking about, and these are the words with a pitch accent. Now, in this sentence, the words on their own would all have accent 1, but because of the sentence prosody, only the last word is stressed, and thus only the last word is actually pronounced with accent 1. The first two words are just kind of rushed through. Jag kommer hem. See? And this happens all the time. For example, jag äter kyckling, meaning I'm eating chicken. On their own, these words would have accent 1, 1, and 2. But, together in a sentence, prosody takes over, and we only stress the final word, kyckling, with accent 2. The entire phrase is thus, jag äter kyckling. Okay, that's pretty much it. Two things I want to say before I finish this though. First of all, the prosody and the stress can of course vary from my examples if you intentionally emphasize words, like if you say jag äter kyckling because you want to emphasize that you're eating the thing, not say drinking it or playing with it. My example was for a neutral, natural sentence. Emphasis always messes things up, but that goes for all languages, not just Swedish. Second, don't panic about the stress patterns in sentences. There are very clear rules and patterns to this, but I think they deserve to be dealt with in a lesson on their own. So stay tuned. Okay, that should about sum it up. Now, I know this has been quite an amount of information, but don't worry about it. Take your time, review the video, and practice at your own pace. Also listen for the accents when listening to someone speaking Swedish. The Swedish pitch accent might be new and troublesome at first, but it's certainly possible to master if you keep at it. I know that for a fact. Good luck and keep the pitch accent coming. Thank you for watching.